You got to do something where you can do that by remote.
Jacked up the whole.
What about Facebook?
Hey everybody, welcome to the Team Powerhouse Show with you, live with you every Tuesday night. Eric Vasquez on your far right, David Lamel here. It's a Tuesday night and we're here to chat about the market, real estate, and anything under the sun you can think of or have questions about as well. How you doing, buddy?
Pre-inspection.
How you doing?
Good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Been a pretty busy week. Are we a little closer? We're going to keep a little farther
It's only
back
Tuesday.
maybe at all? Should we take a little farther back now? Okay, look a little closer than usual.
Yeah, it does feel close.
Right?
Yeah, we're too close to the cameras. There we go. Now we feel better.
Should we pull back the two?
Okay.
One of the things we talk about every so often is home inspections. But more importantly, if you're going to be selling your house, a pre-home inspection. And what exactly is a pre-home inspection and why is it important to you as a seller? So if you're looking to sell a house or you know someone who's going to sell a house or a family or a friend, it's important to come in with detailed
To, termites.
That's facts
You know?
also, yes.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we need to go and talk about, and when you say inspection, you mean the last time you did an inspection, and maybe there now that it wasn't there before.
Well, depending on how long ago you bought the house, the technology that they were using,
Yes.
what they were looking for.
Yes.
I can tell you that in some cases, the code would have changed for some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Now, an inspector's not going to bring up code issues, okay?
You're making me think of things to write down as you're talking.
Yeah. But, something that was acceptable 20 years ago when you bought the house is
Right.
not acceptable now.
Or even thought about before.
Right.
Like radon, for example. Radon 20 years ago was not even a conversation piece for people when they were buying.
Well, I mean, it's been around forever.
It has been.
But
And
I
it
think
became
it
the
was, it really became an issue back in the 70s. So, yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, you mentioned technology, and the technology of what inspection companies do today is really amazing. They've got so many different kind of gadgets to check different spaces in your home that you maybe wouldn't have done before. As simple as a heat gun to check your thermostats, to check your baseboards, to check your vents to see the temperatures of air coming out or how hot is your baseboard getting.
I've seen them pointed at the water coming out of the faucet. See what the temperature of the water is.
And that's actually a very good thing you just brought up because, it's funny. In my house, actually, the water temperature at different faucets are definitely different. Like my sink temperature of hot is way different than my sink temperature in my bathroom when the hot water comes out. And I always wondered to myself, like, if I want it hotter, how do I do it? Is it underneath to turn the thing or is it from the boiler? But why is it at the kitchen hotter than it is in my bathroom? Right?
That I wouldn't. I mean, they're all coming from the same place.
They are all coming from the same place.
And eventually they should all reach the same temperature.
But they don't.
And it's not really how far away from the water heater that device is.
Right.
It's really the distance is a thing because the water is going to cool in that pipe.
Right. Well, the funny thing is the shower is hotter than the water from the sink. So if I take a shower hot, and the sink is actually not as hot as the shower temperature.
I can't explain how it feels hotter. It probably isn't because it's probably the same temperature. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
You go into the bathroom and you turn only the hot water on.
Right.
It's only touching your hands.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
And it might be more tolerable. And you go into the shower and you put that same level on,
yeah.
and it's just on your back or on your head.
Right.
It's going to feel different. because you're jumping out of that shower
That,
real quick.
That could be what it is.
Yeah.
But I also feel like the sinks in one area of my house are different temperature than the sinks in other areas of my house. And again, it doesn't make any sense that I'm saying this out loud.
Okay.
And you know,
Well,
but
I have in my car that pointer,
yes,
that laser thing
yeah,
that I will give you, and you can test. You can test the temperatures if you want.
I'm actually very curious to see. So going back to what Eric
I
was
do.
saying, you know, is that this home inspection, to do a pre-home inspection. So let's go back to it. We say if you've owned a home probably at least 5 years, if not 10 years or longer, you should really consider doing a pre-home inspection in your house, because things may be happening, like you said, that we don't know about. And the ability by doing a pre-home inspection, let's just say you spent $800 on that pre-home inspection. So I don't want to spend the money. The money you're going to save is going to be way larger emotionally and financially from you doing this, because things that may come up.
It removes. Well, one of the things is to remove the shock, because you know in advance
Yes.
what might come up. To give you an example, you have the pre-inspection done. Let's say the only thing that comes out glorious pre-inspection is that the inspector says the water heater is a little on the older side. Okay, it's beyond its design life. It's probably should be changed soon. And the ring at the bottom, you know, the water heaters, they usually break down at the bottom.
Yeah.
There's a band down at the bottom. That's where they usually go. You know, that's going to come up. Now, you know, when your buyer comes in and they do their home inspection, you already know I'm going to hear something about the water heater.
Right. They're going to
It
ask
may
you.
or may not be a big deal to you,
Right.
because if it's, you know, you might be of the opinion it's working fine.
Right.
So
It's
no-
working fine
If it
until
ain't,
it's not.
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Except
you know?
with a hot water heater. Actually, I'm happy you brought that up. Most inspectors will tell you, don't wait for it to go, because when a hot water heater goes, it is a catastrophic situation in your basement. Your basement
Well,
will be flooded.
when it goes, not when it stops making hot water.
No. Yeah.
When the integrity of the tank goes, because if you've got a 40-gallon tank,
yes,
or a
60
50 or
or
an
whatever,
80-gallon tank in your basement,
yes,
and you have a finished basement,
right,
you have 80 gallons of water in your basement when that sucker goes.
yes,
That water's going somewhere.
and it goes fast and it goes hard. And not only that, but depending if you have a well or if you have public water, may also be what left on the cement of the ground, on the floor of the basement. Bless you. What may happen?
I knew it was coming. Thanks.
Amateur.
So what exactly the hot water? What kind of residue leaves on the floor may be different, but more importantly, like Houston, you don't want to wait for it to go, because once it goes, it's gone, and then you have not only your hot water, you have
The saving grace.
Yeah.
The saving grace is at least the water's warm.
Yeah.
So if you're standing in it, it's warm.
If you're standing in it, it might throw you for a loop on top of that. So the pre-home inspection, though, it's going to come up and it's going to bring things to light. It could be as simple as outlets that need to be secured. It could be things that you already know about. You know, everybody goes to their house and knows the things that they see every day that need to be done but don't get done, including myself. But it's the things that you don't know about, like you mentioned termites. You don't know about termites if they're doing any work in your house. Because what happens is most people, when they buy a house, every 2 years you're actually supposed to test for termites to make sure that you don't have them. Because what happens typically, it takes, we actually in the Miranda team here, and they show that wood, how much wood gets eaten over so much time.
Mhm.
Should bring them back in here, by the way. With the amount of work they can do over a 10-year period of time on wood and damage in your basement is kind of crazy. And you wouldn't know they're there unless you're testing for it and checking it out.
Well, compound that with what inspections did you do when you bought the house?
Exactly right. Maybe they do a termite inspection.
Correct.
That's a good point.
And how many folks over the last 3 or 4 years had to, in order to leverage a way to get the house,
That's right.
they had to waive inspection.
That's a good
A
point.
lot of people did the inspection later on, which was a
people.
smart move.
Very smart, yes.
You know, just okay. Let me find out what pimples the house has.
Yes.
You know,
And I'm happy you brought that up, because we actually make sure we've had lots of buyers waive home inspections. But we always tell them, if you're going to waive a home inspection, make sure you do one for your own education after you close. It is worth its weight in gold, because you need to know and learn about your house, regardless. So going back into termites. So termite is one of the great things that is important to find out about. So let's say you do a pre-home inspection and you have termites. Hopefully the damage is not too bad, But you now can remediate that problem by number one having it remediated, which costs you about maybe $1,200, $1,000.
Treatment. Yeah.
But that's not the concern. Is your beams in the ceilings where they need to be sistered or replace the beams. If a buyer comes to your house, and you know TikTok what I'm talking about. If a buyer comes to your house and they see and hear about termites, they're going to, of course, have a panic attack to begin, right? So now everything's raised on a level of tenseness. Now you're going to have an inspector who's going to be checking the areas of the house out, and now the buyer's going to think, where else is there a problem? Maybe, what else am I missing? And they might back out of your deal, and you don't want that to happen. There's no reason for it. So if something can be remediated and fixed so that it's a healthy situation for you, you can also provide that home inspection to the buyers. Let them know, hey, we did the pre-home inspection on our house. Here's what came up. We addressed them already. Everything's good to go. And it just makes you look that much
You may not
stronger.
address everything,
Right.
but you're giving them a peace of mind that you didn't just say, well, I'm just selling it, I don't care.
Right.
You actually took the steps to make sure that you weren't selling them a lemon.
The major issues, like you mentioned, maybe not every little thing, but like the major issues. So what else, Eric, would you say could come up in a pre-home inspection?
GFI outlets for one.
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, with GFI outlets, because again, when you bought that house, you said last time, could have been in the 70s or whatever it was in the 80s. Maybe they have different codes as to where the GFI outlets have to be, by the sink, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. And some of the older homes, you might even find the duplex.
Absolutely.
Two-prong outlets.
Yes.
Which is great. It's not grounded.
Right.
But guess what? You're not plugging a laptop or a TV into that thing because anything new electronic is not going to go into a duplex. So.
And to fix those outlets is nothing crazy. It might cost you a few $100s, but it adds value to your property and it gives.
But it also diminishes the number of items that are going to be found on the inspection. Wow. So you do an inspection, a buyer comes in and they find 3 things. Okay. They find 30 things. Right. They're like, it's just too much.
It's It's exactly right. It's too much for them to handle.
So get that list down.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said. Absolutely correct.
Yeah, it's almost like I've done this before.
He has done this a lot. But, again, the whole pre-home inspection thing is such a great thing. How about chimneys? How often you own a home, you have a chimney? And a couple things we learned about chimneys is very commonly there's cracks in them. Now, you may have never used your fireplace, or only used it a couple of times. And when you bought your house, there was never any kind of issue about it. It needs a chimney liner, right? So a chimney liner, depending who does it, what kind of costs are involved in it, because it's going to probably come up in a home inspection if they do a chimney inspection. This is a very common thing we find coming up. You can be proactive and save money by doing that in advance. And also, especially during the wintertime.
Well, it depends on how much you use the fireplace, etc. But the chimney liner, is an incredibly expensive repair. Incredibly expensive.
Unless Andrew does it.
Okay. So what most folks are doing is they're just having the flue outfitted and they're just putting in a steel liner.
Right.
They're just putting in a metal liner.
Which is the way to do it, which makes it more reasonable.
It's quicker and it's cheaper.
Absolutely.
And it's just the way to go.
Yes. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when you have either cracks in your flue liner, you have the risk of a house fire starting in there. Mm-hmm. Okay, and you would think, well, it's encased in brick. How is it going to start a fire? It can start a fire. Okay. And secondly, you have gases that are escaping out of that chimney.
It's because of the creosote that's built up in the chimney. Creosote?
Yes.
I thought it was salt.
No, creosol is something you order down in New Orleans. Creole. I don't know. I don't know what creosol is.
Creosote can catch on fire. It's basically like a resin or
it's a gunk. It's
gunk that builds up, from over time of using a fireplace, and it can actually catch fire, and then you have a whole massive disaster of fire coming in out of your chimney. A chimney cap, a very simple thing to add to your chimney, which can help you with reduce of the amount of water coming in. Also, vermin coming in the house over there. Mm-hmm. Finding less skeletons in the chimney from the dead animals that were hiding
from that squirrel.
I
thought he was Santa Claus and figured he was going to come down and
finding warmth. Yeah, exactly.
I heard there's milk and cookies down on the table.
Probably with some milk and cookies over there. Anybody out there any questions or comments at all? Anybody out there want to say hello to us? We'd love to hear from you. Also, love to hear about your showing up over here for the podcast.
Nobody's been putting an LOL or anything like that on there.
Wow, that's awesome. So going back to the chimney, another great thing: chimney caps, chimney liners. We have
Oh,
yeah.
Tony Falcone.
Hey, Tony Falcone, thank you so much for being a part of the show today, buddy.
Hey guys, our boiler needs to be replaced, and 2 weeks later, our hot water heater goes bye-bye. We were lucky for a long time, but it's something to think about when owning a home. Oh yeah, great show.
Absolutely. Again, when one goes, it's a major problem. And so let's talk about the boilers. Tony just mentioned about boilers over there, right? So having your inspection is going to check your boiler, your furnace, depending on heat, your heat pump.
Well, you're supposed to get them serviced every year.
But we find that most people haven't done it every 2 years or every year.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, if you have oil, you really want to do it every year. Because the longer you go without doing it, the less efficient your boiler will be. Number two, you also create more problems that can happen with your boiler. When a gas it's more burning efficiently. If your boiler is burning, the more money you save on your heat as well, and you create less problems for that. So you definitely want to do, and you should also be servicing your heating systems, and also depending on your right. How old is your AC system? Eric, how long is an AC system technically speaking last?
15, 20.
Right?
I would imagine somewhere around 15, 20.
I think 50 years.
It's on the average I see.
Yeah. So about I think your ballpark typically, but if you service it every year, your system is going to last longer. It's going to protect itself better. You're going to have receipts of your home showing how well you maintain your property, and that's going to help give the peace of mind that but these guys maintain it and have service.
Well, that's the thing too is you do the inspection and then you have certain things serviced. Hey, this is the inspection report. This is what we found. This is what we addressed. We had the furnace service. We had the compressor serviced. We we did a termite treatment. Whatever.
Yes,
but it really isn't much for you guys to do.
Again, as Eric's saying, it gives your buyers a better feel, peace of mind. More importantly, less drama for you as a seller. You want as little challenges during a seller property. Right? For selling a house, it's the most expensive, most important value item in the home. We want to make sure we feel and show that our property is the best thing out there, and it's also something that is going to help you make a more career.
My elbow moves. It makes so much sense.
You want to make sure your property shows not just the prettiest, but it also shows physically it's a good purchase because of the condition of the home. There's many more things that are involved in a home inspection. So why it's important. And there's a septic situation, right? If you have septic
testing the water. I mean, it's good for yourself too.
Absolutely.
The contents, like if you have a well, okay, if you have a well, you should probably check every couple of years at least, because something could happen under the underground that causes an increase of some minerals that you don't want in your water.
Absolutely correct. And how is the pressure from the water? Do you do a pressure test at all? You find your well, your shower or your water that's coming out, is it not coming out as strong? You may not be looking to sell your house. You may just own a house, but you need to know about checking your house out and inspecting it to help protect your home, right? So this is not just about selling a home. You could just be a person who owns a house and you own a house for years, but you haven't done any of these items here. Then only check it. If you find the pressure in your water is low, not flowing like you used to, have it checked out.
Sometimes that could just be the fixture.
It
could be sediment in the fixture.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you take that little, unscrew that little thing from the faucet, and there's like all kinds of rocks and stuff in there. I know I did that with my washing machine a couple years back, and I found like a rock collection in there. Yeah, the water coming out of the washing machine. Yeah,
that's funny.
It wasn't that funny, but okay.
It wasn't that funny when it happened. You're like, oh, what did I do? Oh, presents. Yeah. So, like again, for your even if you own a home and you're not looking to sell, you want to maintain your property. You want to make sure that you can protect yourself and that kind of stuff. So wells are always maybe for efficiency. It could be also that there's sediment in your your water. It also could be that stuff that's happening under the ground and it helped made your water not as healthy. Maybe you have radon in your water and you don't even know it. When was the last time you had a radon test for your water and also your air, right? Very possible. Even fixed, technically speaking, they got like a special, like,
We're talking about
yeah, radon water.
the bubbler.
It's a bubbler, and they
The
also
bubbler.
use ultraviolet light.
Right. So, but radon, radon in the water is a different type of harm. When you aerate,
Right.
when you aerate the water, the radon comes out of it.
From when you're in the shower and the steam.
Yes.
You're breathing it in.
And you're breathing in radon.
Right.
High concentrations of radon because it's in the water.
Exactly.
And once it hits the air, once it gets bubbled, that's when you get exposed to it. Yeah.
Thanks. You have a house with a septic. How often are you pumping? Are you current? I've been to a house before a few times where I asked, you have a tank, and I said, yes. There's a thing out there.
James Bolger said, "Two good-looking guys, Team Powerhouse," with a thumbs up.
Jimmy Bolger, we love you, buddy.
What's he watching? He said, two good-looking guys. He's watching a different podcast we was talking about.
Thank you, buddy, for the compliment. We appreciate that. And thank you for watching.
Jimmy.
Great guy, great real estate agent to work with. Love you, man. So septic tanks, right? Talk about
I heard a story last week where a couple who went to go do a home inspection, and the sellers did not know that they were on a septic. They thought they were on city sewer. Lived in the house 20 years, never had a septic pump.
I had it happen to me as a listing agent. We're in Cheshire, a town I'm very familiar with. My property is on a cul-de-sac. And I said, sellers, you have septic. They said, no, we're public water, public sewer. And I said, but the town record says you have septic. No, we don't have septic. We never pump septic. Now, you have to believe your clients. I mean,
Who would know better than them? They
Right.
live there.
So I, of course, put on the listing public sewer. Go under contract. I do a home inspection. The inspection company went to Chestercon, right?
That's the sanitary.
Right,
Yeah.
and saw that there was a septic. So I get a phone call telling me that there's a septic on the property. I said, no, my client said it's not a septic, and the agent, and I'm going to come and meet them there for the home inspection. There's a septic tank.
Mm-hmm.
There for 30 years. Two adults, older people.
That's the only reason that survived this because there was only two of them.
Right.
Because if there was a family of six, big problem.
All right. Well, so now there's a septic and it is full of solids. My sellers, I called them up, and they were in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, I'm at your home at a home inspection.
I'm looking at your septic.
I'm looking at your septic, and it's full. Now, not only is it full, you would have thought the septic was destroyed. They were so lucky that it wasn't destroyed, but it needed to be pumped.
Yeah.
And how the fact they didn't pump back in their house, that was an off. They were really upset with me. And I did not work on their behalf because I should have told them it was public water. I was like, oh my God. I called Jen. She's like, you know what? This is where you say, nice doing business with you, and you step back, in the agita. You know what I mean? But it's a situation that never happened before, but that happened.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because your neighbor is probably septic as well. How do you not over 30 years talk about the fact that they're like, oh, I'm getting a pump. Are you getting a pump? Well, we all have septics,
Right.
And if there isn't a manhole cover out in the street in front of your house, then you don't have a sewer.
Right.
No, sometimes the sewer can run through a different property and out to a different street.
Right. Yes.
So like you're on Long Hill, right?
Yes.
So you may not have a sewer line on Long Hill, but it may what I'm saying, it may run to Able.
Right.
Or I don't know what's in the other direction.
Bates.
Bates.
Yeah.
So you may not have a sewer line in your because it may run the other way.
Right.
So you can't always go by what's in the street in front of your house, but it's a pretty good idea. Yes, and if you're on a cul-de-sac, and there's no other street around, chances are you've got a
It
septic.
was a shitty situation. I should say.
Oops, FCC's going to call
Yeah, but it was
us.
it was very unique. I was embarrassed because I looked like an amateur to the other agent, and they're like, I'm like, look, they told me they didn't have this. I told them they do. They didn't, and here we are in this situation. It was,
I might have just checked with Chesapeake just to
yeah,
see if there was an
I,
as built on file.
I,
Because
yeah,
if the town record showed septic,
I learned from my
yeah,
mistakes, if you will. We learn from our mistakes. It happens one time. It doesn't happen anymore after that. That's
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, so septic. You want to check your septic. You should be pumping every couple of years. I recommend every year to pump, and I'll tell you why. What does it cost to pump your septic? A few $100s. And your system will last longer, be healthier, be in better shape because you're going to get it cleaned all the time, like anything else, right? You can go to three, depending on if you live in your house. Technically speaking, you pay a sewer bill every year, right? Just pay your septic bill every year to have it pumped. Just keep it clean. Keep it simple. Save a lot of money and headaches. Um, so septic, you have wells, there's termites, there's radon, there's chips, the roof, age of the roof, right? Attic.
attic. I mean, listen, there are some folks that maybe have lived in their house for 20 years have never seen their attic.
It's true.
Never seen their attic. And they may not know that the bathroom and the upstairs, or if you have multiple bathrooms in the upstairs, they might be vented right up into the attic
As a matter of fact,
and not out of the house.
and that was a not that was not a problem with code at some point, right? I think maybe 20, 30 years ago, that was a normal thing to see. They vented right to the attic. And why is it bad? What does it create?
Microbial
Exactly.
mold.
So you want to make sure that if you have a bathroom, like Eric said, where is your bathroom venting? You have a fan that's pulling, but is it pulling outside your house? You want that for yourself, not just again if you looking to sell a house, but you should take the little steps because to fix it is very inexpensive. By not fixing it, you could be creating a problem in your attic that you don't know is happening, and then it's a problem. You might see that black looking stuff on the inside of your attic
Or you
ceilings.
might find out you have vermiculite in your attic
You might. That's another good point.
that you can get tested, and it may not.
May not be asbestos.
It may not have asbestos.
Right. It doesn't
You know,
always have asbestos.
it's not always contaminated with asbestos, but sometimes it is.
It could be 50-50, depending where they pulled it and how old it is. And
Yeah.
so this all leads into another part of our as agents, and especially with Coldwell Banker. One of the things we have for you to offer you as a seller, if you're looking to sell your house in the near future or even in distant future, there's a program called, and you may have heard me say this before, it's called Real Vitalize by Coldwell Banker.
Never heard you talk about that before.
Never once.
No.
It's an amazing program that allows you as a seller to have the items necessary or should be fixed and updated. So it could be items that are roof, could be heating system, a cooling system, a kitchen, a bathroom. It could be a basement, mechanicals, etc. Can be all redone, painted, lighting. Have your whole house updated, fresh for what the homes need to look like today for the buyers who want to buy those kind of homes. Something updated, clean, fancy, everything you've always wanted in your house but couldn't have it because you didn't have the money to fix it. This program by Colbeck called Real Vitalize allows you as a seller to basically be your own flipper. Okay? You get to use the equity in your home. They have licensed contractors through Coldwell Banker that use and have already scrubbed that will do the work of fixing your house up. Now, these jobs that get done, I will say in advance, there's many things involved here. Number one, you as a homeowner, if you called a contractor up and tried to get work done in your house, you know what pressure is. Who the contractor is. Do they show up on time? When are they going to show up? When are they going to finish? What's going on in the project? And all these things that make you as a homeowner feel very stressed out about hiring a contractor to get work done. You call your friends, your family, your neighbors, people from Facebook, etc., a contractor, and you feel like you have a good one, but very confident. Yeah. So Cold Banker has a lot of screening of these contractors they work with. In this program called Real Vitalize, we come to your house with the contractor, with you. We walk through the home and we talk about what things we need to do based on the condition, maybe from a pre-home inspection that came up, those done or big items. But more importantly, let's see if a kitchen looks like it's 1970s or 1980s. To remodel your kitchen, you may have heard of prices between 25 and 50,000. To revitalize the property to fix your kitchen up might be 12 and 15. Might be less, might be more depending on what we do in that kitchen. Countertops, nice white cabinetry. You're probably looking between 12 and 15,000, and it will make your value of your home $50,000 more. Not to mention, more importantly, how many more buyers want to buy your house? You have bathrooms that may be dated. They have these plastic tubs, or maybe leaks, or maybe the what's the piece called that the water come out and they call that the handles and nails are older. You need to be adjusted. What's it you wet in the shower. Then you turn the in other words, please forgive me. You turn the hot water on and off in the shower.
Mhm.
There's a name for the thing that the piece, the pieces.
Shower body.
So the pieces may need to be replaced. You need to update the shower. You need to have tile your shower up. They do all this kind of thing. Paint your whole house. Add recessed lights. Take out popcorn from your ceilings. That's been in your house.
Speak to the fact that Real Vitalize allows you to use the equity in your home. That this is not money that because you may not have the amount of money that you
Took
want
away
to put
my
in.
thunder.
So
That's exactly it. So there's no.
I didn't know if you were getting there because you were really
So
beating up the shower thing
So the biggest thing about this is there's $0 out of your pocket to get the work done in your
up
house.
front.
Zero money out of your pocket up front. Zero. They use because you have equity in your home, which most people do who own a home for 3 years or longer, significant equity in your home. They allow you to use the equity in your home to get all this work done. So no money out of pocket. There's no interest on the money. It's an unbelievable program. For the last 2 years since this program's come out, every one of my sellers has used it to some degree. Some have used way more than others based on what their needs and wants are. But more importantly, the fact is that you can now take your house, put it to market, right? You don't want to be that buyer, that house that's on the market as is in the condition that it is, and then every buyer goes, "Oh, what's wrong with that property? Look at the old this, old that." Because the buyers today don't have the money.
Psychologically, anybody who sees that in the public remarks, they're like, "I'm not even going to bother.
Absolutely.
I'm not even going to bother."
The buyers today are paying top dollar for your house. They do not have the money to fix it up. And Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I can tell you that, man, I don't sound sexist when I say this, but Mrs. Smith goes, I am not buying that house with that kitchen the way it looks over there. I don't want a 1980s cabinetry when I buy a house for $450,000. They're expecting to have new kitchen in that house. Or guess what? They're going to pay significantly less or that house will sit in the market. So you can get all the work done in your house. And now you, as a seller, are going to attract more buyers to your house and make a heck of a lot more money when you list that property for sale. Bringing better buyers, qualified buyers who are super excited about your house.
I was not showing you my granddaughter.
Eric's letting me know that we're getting to that time where it's towards the end of our show. So anyway, we talked about pre-home inspections, why they're important. Pre-home inspections.
Sound like you said free home inspections.
Pre-home
They're
inspections, not free.
But they're worthwhile.
They're worthwhile and will save you a lot of money in the long run. Number two, the opportunity to get your house ready for sale, to update your home, to make your house worth more money to more buyers emotionally and financially. And here's the clincher. When the house gets sold under contract by a buyer who's so excited, you also, as a seller, you also worry about what? The appraisal. So when a house gets sold for X price, the bank's going to send an appraiser out there and they're going to tell you and the buyers if it's worth what they're paying for it. I can guarantee you homes that have not been improved on are going to have more challenges with appraisals every day of the week. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right, so Real Vitalized by Coldwell Banker, an amazing program. A pre-home inspection, very important for you to do before selling a home, or if you own a home, definitely make sure to be aware of what's happening in your home every couple of years. Do your radon test, do your termite inspection. Make sure to be on top of your property. Do your septic inspections. Make sure you pump your septic. Make sure you service your AC and your heat. Be ahead of the game. It's the most important asset you own. It's the most important thing to maintain. and you want to do things slowly year by year, you don't have to have all these things done in one shot because it is overwhelming, and then people just shut down and do nothing. That's Team Powerhouse. That's the podcast for Tuesday night. Now we're going to the next part of our show where you give out a free tumbler. So let's see who the lucky
Just
winner
not
is.
this one.
Not this one. It's
Not this style.
a nice, newer, prettier, laser engraved.
You should probably have one in the middle just to show what it looks like.
I think we have one in the drawer. Next time.
Astros 55776.
Oof. What number was
Off
that?
TikTok.
Astros
5776.
Astros 5776. They are obviously Astros fans. Congratulations. You just won a beautiful new tumbler. Please get in touch with us. Love to get it to you. We appreciate you guys being a part of our show every week. Hopefully this was educational, informative, and helpful. We appreciate just being a part of your lives every week.
For sure.
All right. So we will see you next week. Have a wonderful week. Stay warm. Hopefully we get no snow. And CT Weather Dog out there, go to his page on Facebook. See what's happening with the weather. Get a good idea. Oh, we're jumping around over here. Flipping and flapping.
Earthquake. That's all we need after all the snow and ice.
CT Weather Dog on Facebook. Check him out. You'll know what's happening on the weather as it's happening, and you'll have good information there. Have a wonderful night, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Peace.